Eucharist and Gratitude by Cordelia Fitzgerald and Sarah Levesque. Eucharist is a term Catholics often use to refer to Holy Communion. This rather unusual word comes from the Greek Eucharistia, meaning thanksgiving, a meaning with no immediately obvious connection to the sacrifice of Christ's body and blood. However, this very same Greek word is used to describe the thanksgiving sacrifice the Israelites would perform in the Old Testament. In fact, a good portion of the Old Testament is devoted to thanksgiving. The Psalms, many of the stories, and the Passover, at which memorial Jesus chose to give us his very self in the form of bread and wine. He chose to give us this sacrifice of thanksgiving on this particular feast with some propriety. Both are a memorial of great deliverance. And a great deliverance is necessary. From the very beginning of the Bible, God's chosen people failed to show gratitude or trust. For example, in Exodus, when they cried out for food in the desert, God sent them manna. Despite this deliverance, they showed no gratitude and instead complained further. They failed to thank God for delivering them from Egypt, instead creating and worshipping a golden calf. This sad story is repeated again and again throughout their history, as the Israelites failed to learn their lesson. Fast forward to Jesus. Again we see this cycle of the lack of trust and the need for deliverance, but this time in the whole of human history. Man has sinned, God has delivered them through his Son. And Christ, outside of time, fulfills the gratitude in his sacrifice of his body, blood, soul, and divinity on the feast of the Passover, at the Last Supper. His Eucharistia teaches mankind how to give thanks to the Father by giving all the glory to God. He tells us to do this in memory of me, to repeat and relive his perfect act of thanksgiving. Having given us the perfect example, he expects us to emulate it. Yet we still fail. We forget to celebrate. We forget to give thanks. We take this beautiful sacrifice of thanksgiving for granted. How insane is that? Taking the extreme and incredible sacrifice of our God for granted. Yet we all do it. There are things that claim our attention, and the Eucharist is always there for us, so it takes a back seat in our lives. God knows we're human, but we owe it to him to slow down, to remember, to give thanks. In church at the sacrifice of the Eucharist, in the car, in the shower, everywhere and anywhere. He has shown us how, and now we need to learn the lesson that our ancestors the Israelites failed to, giving thanks in all circumstances, and turning to God at all moments with gratitude for his wondrous gifts.